Right, hello, and today's video is taking me to the rugged mountains of the northwest Highlands in Scotland. And they really are rugged mountains up there, not just in terms of the landscape, but also in the underfoot conditions. Well, certainly in the hills and mountains that I'm going to on this trip, there was little in the way of paths once I'd got up onto the hills themselves. Really fantastic area. And it's a magnificent mountain area. That's all the whole of the Northwest Highlands are. But the area that I'm going to today is really dominated by the mountains that lie a little further south of the area that I'm in. And those are the mountains of Torridon. And they really are, for good reason, they are fantastic mountains in Torridon. But this adventure is taking me to an area just to the north called the Flowerdale Forest, which is tucked in to the north of Torridon. And some big, the hills. These hills are magnificent peaks, and you can see them if you're on any of the well-known peaks in Torridon. Think places like Ben Gerard, which I did a video about a few weeks ago, or Ben Alligan. You'll have seen the two hills that I'm going up today when I was climbing those mountains, and you do get a great viewpoint looking north from Leagich and Ben A and Ben Alligan. You'll see these hills, and you might not know what they are if you're not into your Corbetts or do a bit of Corbetteering. So this adventure takes us back to 2013, and it was in midsummer, and it's quite a long route. It's around about 24 kilometres the route, and I don't know, over 5,000, maybe 5,100, 200 feet of ascent. So it was a long day, and it's so far away. I didn't start until about lunchtime, but the hours of daylight do linger in the Scottish summer the further north you go. So it was a great day. So let's get cracked on, and here's me at the start of the route, just at the side of the road, at a place which is known locally as the Red Hut, but for some reason the hut isn't red, it's green. But anyway, here I am getting ready to set off with my bike. So that's around at 1 o'clock, and I've got my bike ready. I'm going to cycle up the path and do the two Corbetts in Torridon. It's looking a wee bit overcast at the moment, but hopefully it'll clear. We'll get some views from the top, but we'll see what happens. So I set off on my bike. On the map the track looked fairly decent, but it soon became apparent that it was a bit rocky, and let's just say you would definitely need a mountain bike to get up here. And as I made progress in, the hills started to appear, Ben Anyoin and Bashfen, although they still looked a fair distance away. So that's me at the stepping stones. I'm going to leave my bike here. Stepping stones are just there, and then I'm going to head up this Corbett first, and over to Baz Ben there. It's about 3 o'clock now, it's starting to get a bit sunnier. Hopefully these clouds will disperse and we'll get nice views. So I picked my way across the stepping stones which crossed the burn, and I was glad that there hadn't been a lot of rain, because I can imagine that this river crossing may be a bit problematic after some heavy rain. Anyway, on I went, and there's quite a few big erratic boulders which had been dumped by glaciers, and I thought, seeing as the sky was starting to turn blue, it was a nice spot just to stop and have a wee bite to eat. Not sure if this is the one, but there are some boulders up here, one of which is called the Grouse Stone, which is where the gillies, after they've been out shooting grouse, would leave the dead birds on top of, for another gilly to come up and take down to the lairds down in their houses. I soon gained height, and I was up on the summit ridge of Ben Anyoin, which translates to Mountain of the Bird, which is quite a common common name for Scottish hills. And the ridge along here was fantastic, and yeah, the weather was good, and the views over to those Torridon hills to the south was just stunning. I think this could be one of the best viewpoints to the Torridonian mountains, where you see all those magnificent hills like Leagach, Ben A and Ben Alligan from a rather unusual aspect. Anyway, I was soon reaching the top, where there was a small summit cairn, and I didn't linger too long at this cairn as time was marching on, and I headed over to another viewpoint which was just beyond it, just to look at some of those views over Torridon. It really was a special viewpoint. After taking in some of the views, it was time to get going, and I headed on further along the ridge before dropping steeply down to the head of the loch. So just dropped off the summit and come down there. It was actually easier than it looks. There's a wee path down the right hand side, or to the west, sorry, to the east, if you're coming down the way. But it looks fairly intimidating, but it's not. Couple of wee scrambles. Now you've got to head down to the bothy. Still a few hundred feet down there, and then up there, Baz Ven. Hopefully. Beautiful views though. There's Ben Alligan and Ben Gerard, because the last time I was in this area I was up there in the winter at Leagach. And then over here is Ben A, Triple Buttress. It's fantastic. The views west and north at this point, with the loch below me, were just fantastic. So I took some time and a couple of snaps here too before moving on. So that's me at the bothy. I'm glad to get here. It was a rather steep, scrambly descent off the Corbett there. It's about 5 o'clock, so I'm going to head over here and up the second Corbett before getting on the bike and heading home, hopefully. I'm going to start moving because the midges are out and I'm getting eaten alive. After leaving the bothy, which I believe is a private bothy, it was time to head up the second Corbett of the day, Baz Ven. And there's a wee bit of steepness here and some of that lovely Torridonian sandstone that allowed me to get my hands on the rock in some very, very simple scrambling. There are a couple of tops along the ridge of Baz Ven, which translates to Hill of the Wizard or Mountain of the Face. I think the Wizard translation comes from the Norse and the Face translation comes from, well, in certain directions the face of it looks like a face. So it's 5 to 7 and that's me at the top of Baz Ven. The weather's closed in a little bit. It's been a bit of a pool. It's been a long day actually, and yeah, the clouds down. You could see, just make out Ben Gerard there. You could see Ben Alligan in Torridon. There's a bit of drizzle and looks like rain's coming in. So time to head down the bike and head back, and just to prove that's where I am. There we go. Summit 875. Hopefully get back to the car before it gets dark. The weather was certainly deteriorating and the cloud came in, and it wasn't long before the rain started, so it was time to get down off the hill, and I soon found myself back down at the wee burn and I had to cross the river again. Doesn't look too bad on the GoPro, but I always find crossing burns a bit twitchy, shall we say. Anyway, a bit of rock hopping and I was soon safely across to the other side of the burn. The adventure wasn't quite over yet. I still had a fair cycle to get back to the red barn in the car, and as you can see from some of this footage, the track wasn't exactly flat tarmac. As I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't be taking a road bike along this. I even struggled on my sort of hybrid mountain bike when I was coming down. But, I was tired. It'd been quite a long day, and the time was pushing on. It was after 8 o'clock at night by this point. It'd been an early start on a long drive, and I was glad when I was approaching the road in the car again. I eventually got back to the car and it was just shy of 9 PM at night. And there was a welcoming committee for me as I unloaded the back and the boot to get my bike in. Lots of little Scottish friends were saying hello to me and deciding to have their dinner on me. It was a quick pack up, that's for sure. Right, it's now 9 o'clock, back at the car. Just threw everything in because the midges, once you stop, they were terrible. Absolutely shocking. There's still some in there, but I've got the fans on full blast. But yeah, now to head home. I think I'll be after midnight. Get something to eat at Inverness hopefully. Happy days.